Hello, everyone.
Hi everyone, we're live.
We are live. Let me see. It's not showing live yet on the YouTube page. Why is it? Yeah, here we go. Okay.
Mine it is.
Okay.
Hi everyone, we're live. We can hear ourselves.
Yeah, I'm going to turn the volume down on my YouTube. There we go. Okay. Hi. Let's see. One viewer. Hello. Welcome.
Will you see the questions or will I? I don't know if I'll see questions.
You might be able to open your chat box. You see the little blue box on the left?
Oh, okay, cool.
I think, and then the group chat, yeah. So you should be able to see the chat messages, and then I will. Why don't you look at that group chat, and I will look at the live chat on the YouTube page, and that way we don't miss anything. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi everyone, whoever's watching, I think you guys have joined us for the Integrative Masterclass, Integrative Fertility Masterclass, and now you get to have Aimee and I again.
Yay!
For some questions and hopefully answers.
Exactly. I think we're prepared to give some answers. So we were just chatting about how fun the masterclass was for us and how successful we felt it was. You know, and especially that live Q&A at the end, I really enjoyed that as a host, right? I know you did as well, Marc. Just having all these experts sitting in on the panel and answering questions together was just so much fun.
Yeah, I loved it.
I did too. And it seems all the hosts loved it as well. And so we hope that you all gained a lot of information from it. And if we have more questions now, that's what we are here for. Marc's wife is home with a fever, so we want to keep this to our promise of 45 minutes to an hour. That way he can get home to his wife and his babies. Okay, so let's see. We did have some questions, right? Do you want to get to those?
Yeah, why don't I look at some of the questions that, yeah, let's see here. This is an interesting question. So you said my father just passed away, and it obviously added some stress, right?
Yeah.
An unfortunate event. Should we wait a few months to try again, or just keep trying anyway? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple things to consider, like what's the state of your health? You know, have you been following this plan, or like a preconception plan, if you will, for several months leading up to this, or are you starting to like change your lifestyle and your diet and supplements? You know, have you just started an acupuncture routine or something like that? If you're brand new to kind of what Marc and I preach, then perhaps I would say to give it a couple months before you really commit again to trying. But if you've been following, you know, a nutrient-dense lifestyle and taking supplements, you know, to optimize your health and your fertility, and have a meditation practice and, you know, tools that you can use to help yourself manage through this time, then I think, you know, I think now you have someone else fighting for you on the other side, that maybe you can get pregnant faster. Right. I'm a spiritual person, and my dad's on the other side, so I can relate.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's, you know, that's kind of, I'm normally a very, I think very logically about things, but, you know, with situations like this, my feeling is that, you know, you just had someone leave this world. It's very common that someone replaces this, right? And someone comes in, and that a spirit comes in. And so I actually think it's a really good time to keep trying. Unless you're just not right, you know, just you need a little bit of time, and maybe a month or, you know, a cycle or something like that, and you have to determine. But, you know, there's usually this natural ebb and flow, right? Of one spirit leaves and one spirit comes in. And so why not take advantage of that?
I just told my husband a story of what happened this morning. So I opened up my emails, and I had an email from a patient who earlier in the week she had to reschedule an appointment. She's a fertility patient, and because her father, they just found out he has esophageal cancer, and she had to go down to where her family is down south in South Carolina, and anyway, reschedule, right? And so then this morning I got another email from her saying she needed to cancel her appointment that she rescheduled because her father passed this morning. And then the next email was from a patient announcing the birth of her son. And, you know, it just struck me as like all in 1 second. Like they literally came in, like if you look at the times, they both came in at like 6:52 in the morning, you know, and it was just like Marc said, like one spirit left and another one entered, you know, and so to keep that in mind, you know, that there's a plan here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And our emails ebb and flow the same way. We get some usually hopefully good emails, and on occasion, you know, ones that aren't filled with as much joy. Yeah.
But we send our love to you, hopefully.
Yeah.
It all works out, if you will.
All right, let's see here. Okay, what's this other question here? Sorry, I'm just trying to, it's hard for me to read it. So, I mean, someone did ask a question like suggestions on improving egg health, which is a really general question, right? And I think that it's a little bit difficult to just start spouting off all sorts of things, although, you know, there's some straightforward things, but I always feel like when we start talking about this, Aimee and I repeat ourselves over and over, right? Because we're talking about, well, you've got to focus on your health and exercise and sleeping and you know, a good whole food, fresh diet and so forth. So, you know, those are some of the general things. But they were looking for, you know, other suggestions on egg health, and I know that it's always frustrating as a patient to hear it, I think, from us when we start to say, well, a lot of it depends on what is going on and what we see. But I do want all of you to understand that you know, there is no one size fits all, and you know, more often than not, Aimee and I need to look at your whole picture to understand what you need to do, because there's not like this, oh, just take these two things and it will fix everyone's egg quality, right? If there was, everybody would take them.
It would be so simple. Right. I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing of, you know, and I always go back to, well, let's look at your health, right? You know, tell me how your digestion is, tell me how your sleep is, how are your bowel movements every day,
right.
You know, how's the quality of your skin, how do you feel on a day-to-day basis? All of those things, you know, are additive and affect the quality of every single cell in your body, including the cells in your ovaries and the cells in the, you know, follicles that you're growing and the eggs that you're creating. So to remember that the basis of this is really optimizing your health.
Yeah.
From there, fertility thrives. So
I agree.
So it's multifactorial, right? I mean, I always think it's like emotional, nutritional, physical, and then the lifestyle factors. So, you know, follow both of us, either of us, and you'll get what we tell you to do for egg quality. And listen to all the videos in this masterclass. I mean, we really cover a lot of information, and then we're also tapping the minds of all these other experts.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you just said kind of ties in a bit to the next question, which is, I'm going to try and condense it. It's a little bit long. I've had complete absence of my periods for 3.5 years. I've seen various naturopaths and specialists. I'm hopeful my period will return one day. What I'm concerned about is, what are the risks in not having a period or not ovulating, and what are my ovaries going through? Are they suffering? I hear a lot about amenorrhea and low bone density. How much hope is there for regaining a regular period after not having them for this length of time? What do you think, Aimee?
I mean, how old is she? Did she say?
She didn't say. She didn't say.
Not that, I'm the queen of saying age doesn't matter. So, so forgive me. I mean, I always think there's hope. I always think there's hope.
I agree.
Again, it's the same thing of like, what's the state of your health? Your body isn't menstruating because it doesn't think it has the resources to give up every month. So that's the basic way to look at it. Like, this is, very basic science, survival of the fittest. And if you're not as fit as an individual, then, especially as a female, then the body will just not have a period because it doesn't think it has enough resources to sustain life.
Right, absolutely.
Another life, let alone your life. So, your weight, you probably have to gain some weight, I'm going to assume. And if you haven't tried that, then I highly urge that. Even if it's 5 to 7 pounds, it can make a big difference. Diet is crucial, eating regular meals that are protein rich, animal protein rich, and eating every, 2 to 3 hours throughout the day. Managing your stress, sleeping enough, those things, if you're doing all that and a period still hasn't restored, then perhaps you go to your gynecologist and take, prometrium or something like that to see if you can jumpstart a period. Sometimes that works. See a Chinese acupuncturist, an acupuncturist and a Chinese herbalist. So someone who can prescribe you herbs. Herbs are amazing at restoring menstrual cycles, and as is acupuncture. So, it's a vague question. It's kind of hard to answer, but I do think there's always hope. And, you have to look at what you're currently doing and understand that that's what's not working. And so how can we shift that to a place that's going to work better to support your health?
Yeah. I agree. I mean, and, the short answer is there's always hope. Mm-hmm. There's always where there's a will, there's a way. And if you're committed to your health and getting things back on track, absolutely that can be changed. I think I shared the story in one of the talks or Q&As, but I had a patient who never had a regular cycle, let alone a period without medication, right? We're talking years upon years upon years. And she now has her own regular cycle. So it's possible, it can happen. And I always think it's about finding the right underlying cause for it to get you those results. So I definitely think that. Do you see any questions on your end, Aimee?
Nothing, honey.
Okay.
Oh, I wonder, there's just one viewer, which is okay. Maybe no one really needs a Q&A because all of the questions have been answered through the Masterclass video.
Wouldn't that be great?
Or that this is too soon to the sale of the Masterclass. The next one will have more viewers, I'm assuming,
Yeah. That's all right.
But, let's think. What are some general topics we can talk about?
I have a couple other questions.
Okay.
Go through it. It's fine. What length luteal phase is considered short? How do you fix luteal phase defect? The first one's easier. Let's answer the first question.
I want to see at least 12 to 14 days in the luteal phase. I'm assuming Marc's answer is the same.
I agree. Yeah, I want a minimum of 12 days.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And how to fix a luteal phase defect? I mean, I feel like my answer is the same for everything. We could go and take progesterone and then it could regulate it, sure, but is that fixing the underlying problem, right? Remember that progesterone and estrogen, at certain points are inversely proportional to each other and they need one another, and you need a specific, wave to your cycle in order for progesterone levels to kick up in the luteal phase.
Yeah.
To fix that luteal phase defect. So it's really about balancing hormones throughout the entire cycle, not just about extending that luteal phase through doing progesterone or eating yams or borage oil or evening primrose or whatever have you, or Vitex, whatever you've read on the internet. I think it's more about, taking into account the entire cycle. And for some women too, there is just a shorter luteal phase, and they still can get pregnant, right? Everything kind of looks the same. So what is your BVT chart showing us? Do you have a biphasic? You know, is it actually shifting? And after ovulation, if you're not doing BVT and you don't know what I mean, then quick Google it. But it's basal body temperature charting, and you're taking your temperature first thing in the morning every morning and charting it. And that you should see kind of evenness in the follicular phase, then a little bit of a spike in ovulation, and then the temperature rises about at least 3/10 up to 6/10 after ovulation. And that's your luteal phase. But a short luteal phase doesn't mean you can't get pregnant. Luteal phase defect usually has some spotting. You know, I mean, there's other things that go along with it, but really it's just a general hormonal imbalance throughout the entire cycle. So we really want to fix the whole cycle, not just focus on one. You know, that's a very Western medical approach to just say progesterone's low. And it could work and you could get pregnant for sure, but I'd rather get to the root of the problem.
Yeah. You have to figure out why. I mean, if there's a time issue or, you know, we kind of want to push the time factor and help support things to happen faster, then yes, progesterone is helpful. And I think it's okay to use progesterone if you're also going to be finding out what the underlying issue is and treating that, right? So.
Well, listen, and progesterone supplementation, I mean, can, literally saves lives, you know, so it's like it can help you host that pregnancy, and it can train your body into understanding what it needs to do. But to look at the overall cycle and make sure you're not missing anything in like the follicular or ovulatory phase. Because sometimes the short luteal phase is just inefficient ovulation, right? You know, if we get ovulation,
that will be
what it's supposed to, then the luteal phase kicks right into what it's supposed to do. So acupuncture is amazing for regulating ovulation.
Exactly. Cool. I would like to get your thoughts on using ashwagandha and rhodiola, particularly rhodiola.
You take it.
Well, look, they're adaptogens. Body's going to use them kind of how it needs, but they're particularly useful for adrenal issues and adrenal dysregulation. They are relatively safe, but my feeling is you want to know that you have an adrenal issue before you start to use it. They're not specifically, and at least I should say, I don't use them specifically as like fertility herbs, and that these are going to help you get pregnant as fertility herbs. That's not how they're used typically. So I think they have their place depending on the circumstances and what's going on.
Yeah. And then also to understand if there's like an autoimmune thyroid condition that, you want to be careful with the adaptogens, or at least see how your body reacts. So when you take them, if you feel racy or have insomnia, get sweats, anything like that, they might not be the best thing for you. But like Marc said, you can test and see how your adrenals are functioning through a pretty basic saliva test and get cortisol levels. And it could also be a trial and error type of thing for you. But, both of us are Chinese herbalists, and that's not how we work. We never individually prescribe herbs. It's never like take ashwagandha and rhodiola. We're all about synergistic effects of herbs and using them in combination based on individual presentations. So,
Okay, so let's see here. Looking at other questions. Trying to see if there's.
Are we going to post it somewhere, or should we email it out to? I know I'm doing logistical questions live, but
it's okay.
Perhaps we should email this to everyone who's purchased tomorrow, and that way they can view and see answers, because perhaps it's some of their questions and they just didn't have time to tune in.
Sure. That's fine.
Or not, but
Yeah, either way. Sorry, I'm just trying to read it all.
No. Okay.
I mean, all the questions are relatively similar to what we've already answered.
Okay.
So I don't want to keep repeating ourselves. I want to keep checking some of the others. Yeah, they're all pretty similar. Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all you got. All right. Well, we can wrap it and then expect more on the next.
On the next one, yeah.
I think that's fine.
That's totally fine. And we'll see what other questions we gather between now and then.
Okay, that sounds good. I like that. Okay.
Cool. For
All
everyone
right,
who's watching.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. And if you want to join in for the next bonus call too, I'm sure you can. So just look out for an email for that. Thanks.
Bye everyone.
Have a great night.